Oh, it's hot. Just burned my entire tongue. Hey, what's up, folks? So, we did it, I guess. We did what, Marcel? We reached 5,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's crazy. It finally happened. Thank you to everyone that subscribed. Please keep subscribing. Let's see if we can, I don't know, crack 10K or something. We'll see how far it goes, but you guys keep showing up. You want to hear about bluegrass guitar, so I keep talking about bluegrass guitar. If you don't know, I teach SKYPE lessons as well, so if you're interested in more of me or you want to talk one-on-one about how all this stuff works, please sign up for a SKYPE lesson. You can do that at my website, lessonswithmarcel.com. But I don't want to make this a big ad. Just to start, thank you so much for 5K. Let's get into this video. All right, so it's been a while since we talked, just sort of one-on-one, me and you, about some bluegrass guitar stuff, yeah? So I saw an article online talking about drive in bluegrass, and I don't really think they got it right. So maybe I can give some of my thoughts about what I think drive is in bluegrass, and we'll see if I get any closer. And maybe we can talk about it down below in the comments. Leave a comment. Okay, so if we're going to talk about Bluegrass Drive, first we need to talk about how a bluegrass band normally functions together and what everyone's part is, and what better way to do that than with some crappy, meaty programming. First of all, we got a bass player playing quarter notes. They're called quarter notes because there's 4 of them in a measure. This is easy to count, just 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally, this is what your foot wants to tap. Generally, the pitch of these notes are the root and 5th of the current chord. It's all foundational. Then we have a guitar player playing 8 notes, called 8 notes because there's 8 in a measure. Normally there's some kind of alternating bass pattern that mirrors the bass with strums in between. This is counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Numbers are the bass notes on the bass and guitar, and strums fall on the ands in between. This is normally called a boom chuck pattern. After that, there's a mandolin player playing 8 notes as well, normally softly ghosting 1, 2, 3, 4 and heavily accenting the ands with that chop. So bass player plays on the beat, guitar player plays both on and off the beat, and mandolin player plays on the off beats. Next, the banjo player plays 16th notes. 16 notes in a measure. We count this 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and these notes are generally arpeggios of the current chord with some other goodies thrown in. Now you can feel this with the fastest subdivision as a 16th note or an 8th note. It's still the same thing. We just change the frame of reference. It's up to you. It really doesn't matter. Oh wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, the fiddle player just does whatever he wants. Don't do that though. Don't do that. So if you understand how a bluegrass groove works, here's my problem. A lot of people seem to think that drive is just rushing. And that's a pretty big misconception that we're trying to crack. I mean, sure, there's a lot of examples of famous bluegrass recordings that end at a faster BPM than they started at, but is that really all there is to it? Doesn't that seem like a grand simplification to something that's probably just a little bit more intriguing? Let's take a simplified look at the rhythm concept of swing. Straight 8th notes have the same distance between each other. Something that swings, though, takes the 8th note subdivision that lands between beats and pushes it back. You get this relaxed, almost dragging feel of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is adjusted depending on the tune and the speed. For instance, jazz can become straighter at high speeds, but swing even harder at slower speeds. So to create a laid-back feel, jazz delays the 8th note. Now I think one of the big hallmarks of Bluegrass Drive is the exact opposite of that. The bass player is playing quarter notes and the banjo player is playing 16th notes. But mandolin has a specifically offbeat bass job. If the mandolin player is consistently pushing his chop slightly earlier than where the 8th note should naturally sit, and the guitar player is joining in, we have drive. The rest of the band is locked into time, but 2 instruments are pushing, making the groove at times feel like it's rickety or like it's going to fall apart or break down. Get it? Get it? Bluegrass humor? It's terrible. Hate it. This phenomenon, in my opinion, happens between, I don't know, like a mid-paced song and like mid to fast-paced songs. So somewhere between, I don't know, like 100 and 140, you're going to see a lot of drive. A lot of times when we look at slower songs, we actually see some swing. We see the 8th note delayed. And then when we look at really fast songs, a lot of times the feeling of drive, that rickety feeling, is achieved just by playing in time. You're already going so fast that the band can feel a little nebulous at times if everyone's not perfect, and it's hard to be perfect at those high speeds. So in the case of slow songs, driving the eighth note too much might just feel jarring and take away from the groove, because at that slow of a speed, you're able to sort of conceptualize that the eighth note isn't in time. Although you definitely can hear recordings of bands like the Flamekeepers that are undeniably driving at speeds way in excess of like 150 BPMs, like way up there, getting close to 200, and it still feels like the eighth note is being pushed. So this is really a group effort, and if you're a guitar player like me, you're probably not doing the majority of the work. I think the effect is really achieved by a mandolin player that's sort of chomping at the bit, as they say, and a bass player that's holding them back. So as a guitar player, you're helping double those bass and mandolin parts, but potentially you shouldn't focus on either too much. As a guitar player, you have the biggest chance, and your biggest fear should be that you are the one killing the drive, because you are the glue that's holding the mandolin and the bass together. So if you're straightening out the time too much and not driving, not pushing the eighth note, you could be the one killing that fun, fast feeling. And even if you're straightening out the time just a little bit, that mandolin player might not feel like he has the room to push. Suddenly the band might even slow down. The band might slow down just by trying to play in time, just by not pushing. Anyway, if your band is suffering from the drive being killed though, what you should probably try is starting a bluegrass groove with just the bass player and the mandolin, and letting the mandolin player experiment with how far he can push the eighth note ahead while the bass player stays locked into time. If you turn on a metronome and those two people practice those two jobs, they're going to feel a real dynamic of how their two parts work against each other. And then the guitar player, whether that's you or someone else, should join in and see if they can find a real even spot in there. Going to help hold the reins, but also let the drive do what it has to do, right? You're that glue that's holding the bass and the mandolin player together. I've seen guitar players that have that drive really well. Sometimes it can be a little hard to keep that bass in time while your strums in between are pushing ahead in the beat. It can create a lopsided feel. Sometimes it just works better when it's two different people. Before you think, hey, Marcel's just crazy, Marcel's lost it, remember that this is a really nitpicky thing. And trying too hard is really going to kill the effect. It's just like swing and jazz. Sure, you've heard phrases like you swing like a barn door. The idea is these people try really hard and they're totally missing the point of how the groove feels, of how it should actually be internalized and how it works. Many of you out there probably already naturally drive, probably already naturally do this. This video isn't for you. This video is for the few people who are curious as to why your bass player and your mandolin player are always telling you that your guitar part is slowing everyone down, or that you're not kicking the band, or you're not driving the band. This is what it's about. This is what you're not doing, and this is what you're probably not getting. So think about it, and maybe show your band this video and see if you can try that exercise where you add person by person, starting with the bass and mandolin. Maybe you can work on that together, and you can find a way to work on your strumming that makes more sense. All right, that was a quick one. If you like taking a lesson from the biggest, baddest Billy Goat in the barnyard, there's a couple things you can do. I mean, please subscribe. Let's get that number as high as we can get it. You can like this video. You can leave a comment. You can check out my website, lessonswithmarcel.com. There I have new blog posts all about guitar, and there's a new series going on right now about playing jazz guitar for the flat picking guitar player. You should definitely check that out. There's all of the Instagram links that I do for Jazz and Grass, which is a new bluegrass or jazz guitar lick every single day. Of course, all my YouTube videos are up there, but there's also the tab store where I put out a new tab every Thursday. About half of them are free, half of them are paid. It's just arrangements of all of the classics, and also some tabs of some famous breaks. So definitely check that out. And of course, the one last thing you should do is you can go to my website. You can sign up for Skype lessons if you're interested in personalized instruction. And that's about it. I think I'll see you guys next time.
My love was running from town. That midnight train